Good evening and welcome back to 31 Horror Nights. It's October 7th and tonight's movie is The Wailing. Released in 2016, The Wailing is a South Korean horror movie that did very well. Not only did it make a lot of money at the box office and was a critical success, it won so many awards. Like on the Wikipedia article, there's so many awards and nominations for this movie. This movie is also 2.5 hours long, which is great. I have a very short attention span, so for me, 2 hours is pushing it, so this movie better be as good as I've heard it is. This movie centers around a small village in Korea and a series of murders that are happening. Some people are just going completely feral and crazy and killing people, and nobody knows why, and some people blame this Japanese man who moved in recently. The main character is a police officer who's trying to get to the bottom of the case, not only because it's his job, but also because his daughter might be next. I have had a pretty hit or miss experience with Korean horror movies in the past. I didn't like The Host very much at all, but Train to Busan was amazing. I put this movie on the list because it came highly recommended. It has a 99% on Rotten Tomatoes, and the critics were raving about it. Once again, I really hope that it's worth the almost 3 hours it's gonna take to watch. I'm gonna go check it out. I finished watching The Wailing, and I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. I thought it was pretty good. It was too long, given what it was. It was kind of padded out. They could have gone a little bit shorter, but still, it's a solid horror movie. There's a really good element of mystery to it. Even if I didn't get as invested in the characters, I did get invested in the story and the mystery of it, and I wanted to figure out what was going on. To begin with, I have no idea why it's called The Wailing. There wasn't nothing comes to mind as to what would be the wailing of the title. I believe that the original name was just the name of the town. I don't really know why they changed it. The main character is a police officer named Jong-gu, who is a dad, and he's not particularly threatening as a police officer at all, but he is definitely a better dad than the main characters of The Host or Train to Busan. It starts out as a normal murder case, or I guess as normal as a murder case can be, but things get bad when his daughter starts displaying the symptoms of the people who went crazy and committed the other murders. Everybody in town starts to suspect this one guy who, I guess, got there right before the murders started. They never say his name or give him a name, except for like a racial slur, but I'm just gonna call him the Stranger. To their credit, the Stranger does act very suspicious and does have very suspicious things at his house. But I'm pretty sure that there's a sort of commentary here about bigotry and not trusting people who are different. The best part about The Wailing is the mystery of it all, because it's not until like the very, very end that you actually get an answer as to what exactly is happening, and even then the answer is pretty vague. Who you think the bad guy is keeps changing, who you think you can trust keeps changing, and it keeps you guessing throughout the entire movie. The horror in this movie is pretty restrained. There aren't any jump scares really to speak of, and the really scary moments are like a little bit toned down. A lot of the really bad stuff happens off screen or is left up for interpretation. It is a pretty solid movie from all angles. The only real problem is the fact that it did not need to be that long. And what's really ironic is that there is a deleted scene that would have been the very last scene of the movie that would have been really good to have that they took out. But I know I definitely have a lower threshold for long movies than most people, so if the concept interests you, I'd say check it out. It was pretty good. Now I want to talk about a few spoilers, because that's where things get interesting. I was pretty sure I knew where this movie was going by about halfway through, because everybody in town doesn't trust the Stranger, doesn't like the Stranger, and they keep bringing up the fact that he's Japanese when everybody else obviously is Korean, and I thought that that was supposed to be like, okay, they're talking about racism and prejudice, because it's not going to be him, it's going to be something else. And right after it seems that they've defeated the Stranger, that is what happens. Like, the shaman that's been helping the main character out through the whole movie says that he was wrong. It was actually this one woman wearing white who appears throughout the movie. She doesn't really say anything beyond vagaries, but she's definitely there a lot. And now we're thinking, okay, so it's actually her. It wasn't the Stranger that nobody trusted. It was this trustworthy-looking woman who seemed to want to help. But then they throw another twist at you. That woman was apparently a kind, helpful spirit. And what was actually happening was you do see the stranger turn into what looks like Satan at the end of the movie. So clearly there was something up with him. But it wasn't just him. Because when the shaman, like, there's a point towards the end of the movie where the shaman, like, packs up all his stuff and leaves. And there's a point where he's getting something out of the trunk of his car, and he drops a box, and the box is filled with photos of the people who would end up being victims, sometimes before they're dead, sometimes after they're dead. Those photos were originally put up on a wall in a room in the stranger's house, which is part of the reason why they assumed that he did it. But he told them that he burned all those photos, and those photos were gone. So that implies that the shaman also has something to hide and has something to do with it, because that would mean that he's feeding Jung-gu false information. But I also want to talk about the deleted scene, the deleted ending to this movie, because it showed the stranger in human form, like, when you saw him before he even turned into the demon, he looked completely, like, close to death with injuries, but he looks completely fine. And he tries to call over a little girl nearby with candy, but the mom sees it and doesn't let her run off. And then you see the car that the shaman was driving come by, stop, they give each other a look, and then the stranger gets in the car and they drive away. That was a lot clearer of what was of implying that they were in cahoots with each other. I guess they removed that scene because they felt it would have been too on the nose as to giving you a solid answer as to who's at fault, but I think that would have been helpful. But even without that scene, it's still solidly implied, at least, what really happened. While not completely enthralling, The Wailing is very watchable. It held my attention for 2.5 hours, a lot better than I was expecting it to. But if you're really looking for a good K-horror movie, I would definitely recommend Train to Busan over this. That movie was just awesome with its action and little bits of humor and this really good premise and the pacing and the execution. All of that was really, really good. And this movie does have its own charms. The cinematography is beautiful. There are so many really pretty shots in this movie. I just feel like it's a little too flabby. But not flabby enough to detract from a good premise and, for the most part, very good execution. If you're interested, check it out. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow.